Well, good day there, everyone. Today we're going to have a look at what essentials I keep in my rear drawers on my four-wheel drive when I go four-wheel driving and caravanning. So let's dive in and have a look. Open up this drawer and we'll have a gawk at what's in here. Just lock that open. Of course, everyone's got to have a good wheel brace. I've also got a rattle gun, but wheel brace is an excellent item to carry for when you get a flat tire, things like that. You can always use it to help someone else out if you're on the road. In this little bag here, I keep a few little goodies, which I find very helpful for when we're out on the road. I've got a battery charger. It's a 240 volt one. So if I need to charge up like my lithium battery that's in the back of the car to run my fridge, I can do that. So quite handy. Also a multimeter, very handy for troubleshooting. And in here I've just got some extra little plugs and Anderson things that'll help me out if I get in the pickle, and a little small extension cord in there as well. So all these items are actually really handy, and I just keep them in this little bag here. And it's actually just a little camp oven bag, but you know, you can keep them in anything else that you can find. So there's some handy little electrical items there. And right, we'll move on next. I've got this bag here. Now this bag is essential. This is one of the really essential things I carry in here, because this is full of things like drill-in pegs, sand pegs for hooking down awnings on your caravan and your car, ropes, things like that. Got a hammer in there so I can bang things in if I have to, but I also can use, on these I can use a drill and drill these into the ground if I need to. So that's quite a handy little item to have there. So next we'll move on and we'll have a look in this bag. Right, now in this bag I've got my rattle gun, so I can undo nuts and things on the car wheels if I have to in a hurry. Got my cordless drill, and this here's got a little hex thing on it because on my caravan I've got a BOS jockey, and they require a fitting like that, so I can wind up the front of my caravan quite easily with that. Saves the old arm winding things and that. So that comes in handy. Plus I also have another bit so I can use these that I put on there, and I can use it with these things as well. But primarily I get used for that, and then for drilling in things. And of course there's spare batteries and things in here that I keep. I've got little bars here because I actually have a torsion bar that I use to check the torsion and on my wheels of my car and my caravan. So I've got one for the caravan, and there's another one in here for the car. So I've got two of those. Also this little thing I also use on that BOS jockey wheel, because if you run out of battery power or something, you can just wind it with that up and down, so quite easily there. So that's another handy little thing. And then in here just some little drill bits and nuts and bolts and things like that. Now moving on to my next little bag in here, I've got some windscreen wiper additive, so you can add that to your water. So when you're washing your windscreen with your wipers, you can activate the old wash sections, and you'll end up with a beautiful, like, nice clean window. Works really well, gets rid of the bugs. Also got some power steering fluid. You never know when you might need to do a top up out on the road, especially if you're traveling for a couple of weeks at a time or more. We've got some brake fluid suitable for my vehicle. Of course it's essential that you get the one that's suitable for your vehicle. I've also got some coolant. It's pre-mixed coolant, so if I need to top up the radiator coolant, job's done. And then I've also got some engine oil. So this is the one suitable for my vehicle. Like I said, once again, if you want to carry some for yourself, just get the one that's suitable for your vehicle. And carry that with you. Just pays, because sometimes you might pull into a servo, they don't have it, or you might want to check your oil when you're out camped up for a while and you need to top stuff up. Well, this is the way to do it. Another thing that I find is handy, probably not essential as such, but handy if you're away for a while, is I carry a little grease gun full of grease, ready to go. You never know, you're out, you've got a bit of spare time, you might want to grease up underneath the van or something like that. So that is really handy. I just keep it in this old little black case, but I mean, keep it in anything, and you can carry spare grease with you, but I tend to find once that's full, that'll last you for ages, so you don't really need to worry about that. Another handy thing to have is a rag that's easily accessible in your car, because you never know when you need to wipe your hands on something like I just did then. Okay, moving along, I've got this little container here which I keep some 12-volt lights in. Well, actual fact, they're rechargeable battery lights, so you can charge them up by a 12-volt, you know, they've got magnetic ends on them, so they're quite handy. If you pull up somewhere it's a bit dark, you can hook that on. In here is something that I bought that's quite handy too. If you break down, get a flat tire, which I've had, you can open these up here and you've got yourself a nice little flag to put up on the side of the road to stand up, just to let people know that you've broken down. And essentially that's what you get. You can stand that up on the side of the road, front of your car, behind your car, just to let people know that you've broken down, you're changing a tyre, just for safety. It's only a simple thing. I just bought it at one of the car shops. Cheap, probably sell them. I think I got mine at Repco, but fantastic, handy little thing in case you do have to stop and change a tyre or break down. Moving along, I've got this spare wheel, goes on the bottom of my BOS jockey. In case I need to use it, it just hooks on, because the BOS has a flat base on it. So I use this, you know, if I need to. You're moving the van around. And then I've also got a nice little container here. Now in this, you'll see that I keep spare little knickknacks, bolts, U-bolts, all that sort of stuff. Clamps come in handy for if any of your pipes come loose or you need something on there. So basically just a few little knickknacks like that, little essentials, spare type of items that you might find come in handy. I've even got some of those clips as well, the R clips, which are handy, like that you use in your hitches. So all that stuff is really handy, because I have had a situation once where I was traveling and one of the U-bolts came loose and dropped off my chain and ended up dragging the chains on the ground. Lucky I had spare so I could easily replace it. So in this bag here, this is what I would call essential as well for traveling. You've got a bit of tape. I've got some seals in there. I've got some plumber's tape. I've got some Loctite, bits and pieces like that. Just little things that you might find can help you out immensely when you're on the road. I've got some spare reflectors that suit the front of my Caravan, because sometimes, even though I've got a stone stomper on my van, sometimes the stones will fly up from oncoming traffic and crack them. Easy to replace. I've got some nice duct tape here. That's essential. Duct tape and cable ties, I can tell you, come in very handy. In here I've got a spare door handle for my Caravan door, the K-Mech one. They have been known to break. I haven't had one break on my van yet in 6 years, but one day it'll happen, and there's a spare one. I've got a little bit of a hose, which will go onto the end of my water tanks, metal ones. I replaced them from the plastic ones. So I got hit once by a rock and it cracked the plastic one. As I was driving along, I lost nearly all the water out of one of my tanks. Luckily someone was following me, radioed and said, "Hey, is there any water in front of you?" I said, "No." And they said, "Well, it must be coming from you." So I quickly stopped. Luckily my tanks on my Caravan are actually separate, so I only lost water out of one tank, and where we were going had water, luckily. So I replaced it with these bit of kit and the metal tap, and since then I haven't had an issue at all. But you know, just something you can sort of think about while you're traveling. And then just in here, these are just some little 32mm ends that go on doorstop. They're not doorstops, they go on the bottom of chairs and things like that. I use them on the end of I've got a pipe that goes through my stone stomper to stop it dragging on the ground when you're turning. These just go on the end. Simple as that. Just up here at the front as well, I've got a big nut. Now that fits my nut that goes on my hitch that connects the, we've got a DO35, but if you had a ball, same thing. Fits the big nut, because you'd be surprised how those things can come loose, especially when you're traveling on some rough roads, you know, and once again, having that is handy as hell, and you'll be able to torque it up as well, but very handy. Also a spare Annode for my hot water service in the Caravan. Carry one of those as well. Very handy if that needs to be replaced. I usually replace mine once every 18 months or so, I suppose. Now, further down the back here, this is the last thing actually in this drawer, and this is quite a handy little device. Can't say I use it all that much, but I have used it. And what it is I bought a little pump from the local place that sells irrigation and things. And what I've done is I've put Anderson plugs on it so it's easy, because I've got some Anderson plugs on the outside of my van. And then what I do with that is I hook that up to my water hose, and I have some fittings in here that go on there. It's a little filter that came with it, things like that. I hook all those onto it, and if I'm close enough to a water source, such as like we stayed up at Gregory in the Northern Territory, and I ended up being able to hook my water hose into a little creek, and the creek there was quite fresh running water. So we ended up pumping that through the van so we could have unlimited showers in our Caravan. We weren't using any of the water we had stored on board, and we have a separate tank for drinking water, so of course we use that. This water would have been good enough to drink as well, but we just used it for showering and washing and everything else, and I'll tell you, that really came in handy and worked really well. We had some other friends camping with us, so they all had showers in our Caravan, and that works great. Like I said, just throw a line into the creek or river, and you can fill up your tanks with it, you know. But like I said, not something you'd use all the time. You have to be reasonably close to it. I mean, unless you're carrying a 400-foot hose with you, which I don't. I just carry a normal one. But as long as you're close enough, you know, within 20 feet or so, you can easily hook in. So that's a handy little thing I carry along with me as well. But like I said, not something that, you know, I suppose you'd call essential. But for me, when we were camped up near a little creek for a couple of weeks, you know, this was great. Right, now we'll have a look in the other drawer. We'll just open him up, prop him open. I've got some little latches there to keep him open. Now, this one has a bit of a mixed bag of stuff. I'll tell you one thing is good though. I have these reusable cable ties. Cable ties are so good. Now, these are pretty heavy duty. What makes them reusable is you can do them up like that. Normally with a cable tie, once you've done it up like that, well, next time you want to get it off, you've got to cut it off. With these, and if you can just notice it there, there's a little tiny, I don't know, little thing you push in, right? And then what it does is it releases the cable tie ratchet part out. So you can have it like that, strong as, will never come apart. Push that little thing, and out she comes. So handy as heck. And if you can get yourself some of these, they are a godsend. And basically, you know, if you've got a job where you don't need to ever have it come off, you're wrapping a pipe with some pool noodle or something, just use the normal cable ties. That doesn't matter, you know, because you don't really want to have to take them off at all. But if you're using something that you might want to reuse again and take on and off, these things are a beauty. Now, spare Anderson plug cable, right, which is for solar panels, anything like that you want to use. So I've got that in there. In this bag here is a look in there. I like these King's bags. They're great. You can see what's in them. Good little storage bag, actually. Now in here I've got, this is King's as well. I'm not promoting King's or anything, but I have a bit of their gear. This is a little jump starter pack. Now this is great. I've used this to start cars all over the place. You know, you pull up somewhere, someone's got a flat battery, there you go. Little King's charger, all the accessories there. It will start a V8 diesel, which is what I have. So quite confident of that. And it has started, I used to have a Ford Ranger before this, and it used to start that without a problem at all if I get a flat battery. Another nice little kit to carry is one of these. Now these are great. You know, you pull up somewhere, you got your Jenny going, you might want to help someone else out and plug their Caravan into your Jenny. Use one of these, or for other items, whatever you really want. Just got it from Bunnings, wasn't all that expensive. Great little piece of kit. Also, this here, Anderson cable adapter. Now what I've done here is I bought it like this. Bought it from the home of 12 volt in Mount Barker in South Australia. And this is great because on my van I can actually plug in 3 200 watt solar panels as an extension to the 300 watts of solar I have on top of the van. So my DC charger, my solar controller in there will handle up to 600 watts of solar externally, as well as what I've got on board. So I use one of these and I can plug 3 in, or I can plug 2, or I can plug 1, whatever you like. Very, very handy piece of thing, because I've only got the one Anderson plug that's wired to my batteries in the van, so this works fantastic. And then also in here, my fridge. This will fit my fridge. This is just the power source. I've got a fridge in the back here. I'll show you that afterwards. It's a 25 litre brass monkey fridge on a slide out, MSA slide out. Great little fridge. Can use that under 240 volt if I need to. Usually I'll plug it into 240 volt before we go away, so it gets it nice and cold, and then I can put it over to 12 volt. And then of course this is a controller. I have a winch on the front of my car, so that's the controller that will control the winch. And then in this container here is just a few little bits and bobs, little straps and bits and pieces, you know, just little things that you might come across. Screws, you know, you never know when a screw comes out somewhere in your van or whatever. You can screw something together and fix it up quick. So that's handy to have, and I think things like that are just essential, especially if you're going camping off grid like we do. Now, this bag here, I keep my little electric chainsaw. Well, when I say electric, it's 12 volt chainsaw. I've got the little steel sharpener there. I can hook that in via Anderson plug and sharpen the blades. I've got it here. It's a Makita. All my other stuff's Makita, so I have a Makita chainsaw. Put the battery in there. At the moment, it's got a 6 amp hour one. Powerful little machine. Small. When you're out, it's quiet. Works great. And I recommend you have one of these if you're out camping. You do a fair bit out. You can hook up a bit of wood quite quickly with that. And of course in there I just keep a spare chain, little handle for when I want to service it. I've got chain oil in here, and I've also got some motor oil, which is for my Honda generator. I carry one of those in my Caravan. In a previous video, if you watched that, you would have seen that, and that's basically what's in this bag. So but I do recommend, I call this essential because if you do a lot of off-grid camping and that, you're going to run out of wood sooner or later, and this is great. You stop, you see some wood piled up somewhere side of the road, you know, always take it legally, don't take it from someone's property, but if it's there for the taking, it's on the side of the road remotely. Great little device for getting it, but like I said, always take it legally. Now in here I carry a little extension that goes around my jockey wheel, around the barrel of that. Hooks on like you would you know, if you were hooking up your jockey wheel to your van to raise it and lift it. And what that does, it hooks into the welded pieces that are on the side of the van behind the back wheels of the Caravan, and it goes on like that actually, and then you hook your thing in there, and as you wind it up, hoist the van up, so it acts like your jack. So this came off a previous jack that I had. I had a TrailerMate jack, but I changed to BOS one now, and I find it fits on that, so keep that with me. In here is a little kit full of extras like WD-40, got some nice thick blue tape, some more duct tape, handy as heck, and so I carry those things with me. I think these things are sort of essential. I do carry another lot in another toolkit I tape separately, but you can never probably have too much of this sort of gear. Now, as I said before, cable ties come in handy as heck. Now, all these cable ties, they're not the reusable sort that I showed you before. Well, this lot is here. These are quite a bit smaller, and these are reusable ones, so if you need small ones, you can get them. I believe I got these at Bunnings, I'm pretty sure, and these are just normal ones here for the times you don't need to have them reusable. So they're very good, and like I said, essential for travel. Another thing that is going to come in very handy when you're out traveling is a tyre puncture repair kit. Now, this one I've had for quite a few years. Fortunately, I haven't had to use it as yet, but it is a must, because sometimes you could be so remote, and I've been to some very remote places, and you get a flat tyre, and if you're out there and you've got no one to help you, this could get you at least to the next town. So I recommend having one of those. I would say that's essential for any sort of four-wheel drive travelling. Now, I've got some other gear in here that I'd like to show you. In this little bag here, once again, this is what I'd call my electrical bag, because what I have in here is I have spare Anderson plugs. I've got some assortment of terminals there like that. I've got some shrink tubing, because you never know. I have had an Anderson plug come awry on the back of the car and had to repair that on the road, so it comes in handy for that. And then it just has other bits and pieces of spare Anderson plugs in here that I've got. I've got some scissors and a screwdriver. Basically, that's about it. I've got a little hot devil torch there, so you can melt that shrink wrap if you want to. Some spare wiring. So these are all things that I think, if you're going to be doing some remote traveling, probably handy to have something like that with you, just in case for those moments when you do need it. Now, the last thing in my drawer, last but not least, I would say, is some good recovery gear. So there's some gloves in there, and then we've got a snatch strap. Now, essentially, you have a snatch strap rated that's in good quality condition. Comes with some big U-bolts there as well, hooking on the front of your car, the other end around a tree or somebody else's car. So recommend that. Have used that. So another bit of essential kit that I recommend, especially for off-grid traveling, remote traveling. You go down a dusty old road somewhere, you take a wrong turn, and suddenly you get bogged. So there you have it. But anyway, these couple of straps here, just a knocky strap, a couple of rubber straps. These things come in handy every now and again for various items. Might not use them that often, but when you do, you're glad you got them. Another rag there, of course, as well. So that's the end of my drawers, and I'll just show you a couple other items I carry as well while we're here. Now, as I said, I've got a Brass Monkey 25-litre fridge on this MSA slide out. It's a drop-down slide, so it'll come down and all that. There's my little fridge. It is actually fantastic. Does a great job. Slide down like that so you can easily access to it. But I tell you, one thing about them is they're quite reliable and light. I do have a cover for it. I had the cover on it, but unfortunately it kept catching on the side of the drop-down slide. So every time I'd open it, the thing would get, and eventually it ripped. I sort of repaired it makeshiftly, but at the end of the day, I took it off and I thought, well, it's fully enclosed in this car. And basically if it was in the back of a ute tub like in my previous car, might be a different story, but in this I don't think it really needs it. It's only for my beer anyway, so the missus doesn't care. And down the side here, sand flag. Pretty handy bit of kit this. I've used this quite a few times when we've done the Googs track and various other things. Just set that up and basically hang that off the front of your car. I've got a nut there set up ready on my bull bar. Set this up, goes quite high. I think it's about 3-4 meters high, maybe more. And yeah, handy for when you're in those situations, going up and down sand dunes and things. You don't want anyone to come up the other way and you don't see them, they don't see you. So that's an essential bit of kit as well. Other thing I carry here is just this. It's just a thing I made out of an old pole. It just I just use it for basically holding up the end of my outdoor kitchen on my van. You know, it doesn't need it, but just in case someone comes along and leans on it too heavily, they might bend the runners on that slide out for my kitchen. But that's all I carry in there, and that's all that's for. Not something any normal people would ordinarily need. So anyway, I hope that's sort of given you a bit of an insight into what sort of things you can carry and what I carry. Basically, this is essential for me. Might not be essential for someone else. Some of the items I believe are essential for everyone, especially for off-grid travelling, caravanning. But everyone else has got different needs, so you may find that you'll carry something different to me, dependent on your car or whatever. I actually also carry spare bearings for my caravan. I bought a set for, it's only a single axle caravan, so I've got 2 lots of bearings and that inners and outers for that, which I can change on the road if ever you get stuck somewhere and you do a wheel bearing. So I have carried those. They were in another bag in one of these items as well. So that's something that I think is essential too. But once again, if you're just travelling around your caravan, you stick to the blacktop, you stay in towns, you stay in caravan parks, then really probably not essential to carry all this sort of gear. But if you're like me and you like to go off grid, go on the outback tracks and stay off grid for a while, some of these things could well be what saves you from a bad day. So hope you enjoyed that. If you got any questions about anything, just hit me up and I'll get an answer back to you. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please subscribe, give it a like. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks very much.